now.
Hey guys, Joshy here with BJ and GameDay. You got Joshy and you got Bogan tonight. We're graced by his royal presence. So, unfortunately, Brent Ping Ponger is doing the dinner with the in-laws, so
Yeah,
can't make it on the show.
last minute
May he come in,
removal
mate?
from the team. So, uh,
He may
yeah,
make it. We'll see.
we'll see if he can make it halfway through. But much like many of my Supercoach players, he's knocked himself out in the warm up. So last
Who
minute
was that?
replacement, Brent. No,
Yeah,
but
but
it's happened to me about 15
oh,
times this year.
mate, fair enough, fair enough. How'd you go last week, Bogan?
I scored a little bit higher than you two. I believe I got around 12-20.
Okay.
But still not enough to get up over Leanne, so I think she's
Yep.
spoiling the party for you guys in the head to head.
Mate, look, it's been a tough head-to-head. Luckily, I got up in my match over Brendo. I think I scored 12. Yeah, there it is there, 12-16. Pretty average week, but I had TPJ, a couple other bad scorers. I dropped about another 400 spots. So in the last 2 weeks, I've gone from 700th down to about 1600. So slowly losing grip with that top 1,000, unfortunately, and definitely losing ground on Charlie White with the bunny snags. Charlie had another cracking week and actually moved back inside the top 100. So I think Charlie's up to about 85th or 88th or something like that. So
I
very
think,
well done to Charlie.
yeah, we'll see when we get to the scores. Yeah, but I didn't have to change the Charlie graphic off the screen. There's a bit of a spoiler warning.
There you go. There you go. But last week's games, mate, the Thursday night, we kicked off with my boys. Cronulla getting up 16-14 over the Cowboys. And look, I thought we were pretty lucky to get out of this one, Cronulla. We had the majority of the ball the whole game. The Cowboys defended absolutely sensational. But a couple of pieces of sort of attacking brilliance got us there in the end, and Cronulla stopped that 5-game slide and
Oh,
got a win for once, so that was nice.
still looking shaky though.
Oh,
Um,
mate, look, yeah,
it's
definitely.
this is the only game. This game ruined my tips as well. I would have got a perfect round if Cowboys had won this one. But
Well, that serves you
yeah,
right for
and
picking the Cowboys because
well, but I
well,
said too, I would not call getting up over the Cowboys by 2 points a return to form for the Sharks.
neither
They
neither
they
would
can
I. Neither would
they
I.
can do much better than that, and I
Yeah,
still think there's concerns there at the what would you call it, the Shark Park.
yeah, Shark Park. Yeah. Look, obviously, as you can see there, folks, SJ had a massive score, 108. So a nice little return for form for him, and repays that faith that anyone did. I know there's a few people who traded him out, so owners would be definitely happy with that. Mr. Glass, Josh Dugan, obviously a little bit of talk in the media from Gordon Tallis about him, whether he should retire or not. But look, I think,
Well,
I don't think Gordy was trying to go too harsh.
that's the thing about glass, isn't it? In the right circumstances, it can cut you. So
Yeah, definitely, definitely. He cut back. And Bronson Jerry had a good game as well for his owners, 83. Tamalolo, a bit of a down week, but still managed his top score for the Cowboys, 62 points. And, yeah, played solid enough. The Friday night footy, mate, first game there. And, this was a little bit of a tough one for Hampton. Look, the Knights got off to a cracking start. I think it was 12-0 after about 8 minutes. And I was sort of thinking, by how much? And then they just really faded out of this game. Look, obviously, Kalen Ponga, equal top scorer in there with 84. It was like he played the first 20 minutes and then stopped. And I think Brent and I have talked about that before. He doesn't have a full 80 minutes in him at the moment, like the blokes like Trebojevic and your Teddies and that. So, mate, what are your thoughts on Ponga?
well, obviously, as you can see there, everyone gets a bit of insight into who's in my team. I've got him. Um, yeah, it's not that he's inconsistent. He's consistently scoring around that 80 point mark. You just can't go on with it. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know. Yeah, it might be a medical thing, but it just seems like, as you said, he does. It's like he doesn't have the endurance to keep that performance up. I think
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, as a South supporter, I've had to watch Inglis a lot through his career, and sometimes it's hard to keep him interested. And I don't
Yep.
know if Ponga might be in the same boat there.
Well,
Like,
it's a hard thing. I mean, you look at
because that's the thing.
Inglis.
You put him in a big game, and Ponga will go.
Yeah.
He'll rise to the occasion. But you put him in a game where really he should have torn the Sharks apart. Torn the Tigers apart, and he doesn't go for it. I don't know what's there. It's probably something they need to look at.
Yeah.
Only hurting himself.
Exactly. Robbie Farah scored 84 as well, and obviously this week he announced his retirement. So, congratulations, Robbie! 300-game career, and he'll leave us at the end of the year. But I think he's done quite well, mate. He's been a good player.
I think the Tigers are probably going to look to build on that. They're one of those teams that will be fighting over that 7 and 8 spot come the end of the season. So,
yeah,
you could probably say they probably wanted this game more because they're playing for their season.
Yeah, very true, very true. And look, I think they showed that, as I said, that they were 12-0 down and it wasn't looking too flash, and then they just fought back, and every time the Tigers scored, look, the Knights did hit back, but Tigers got there in the end.
I think across the whole comp over these next few rounds, you're going to start seeing some teams lift up as they try and resurrect that last chance that they've got. You've got teams like the Tigers, Parramatta, even St George, even though they're doing themselves no favour, that are all sort of 1 or 2 losses away from their season just being completely rat shit.
And I mean, that's the thing. You look at the top 8 at the moment. I mean, you've sort of got, obviously, Melbourne, South and the Roosters clear in the top 3. Canberra up there as well, and they have been consistently. Following that, Manly and Para sort of round out that top 6. But then you've got the Knights, the Broncos, the Tigers, Cronulla, Warriors. They're all sort of up there, and I
think come 26, there's going to be a lot of teams for 7 and 8 that are scrapping.
Yeah,
for that.
I think this is probably, and I think that draw was huge between the Warriors and Broncos, because I think that might, as silly as it sounds, the draw probably was better, not so much better for those teams, but I think it'll provide more clarity in the makeup of the finals, because let's say, one of those teams won, well, for and against and everything like that would have such a bigger effect. So not so much now.
Yeah, so that being said, though, credit to the competition as a whole, because you'd only say the Bulldogs and the Titans are the only teams that really are done already.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like going into round 21. It is round 21, isn't it, this time? But going into round, I think it's round 21. That's phenomenal that there's only 2 teams that you can realistically wipe out of having a finals chance.
Yeah, true.
And probably mathematically, I'd have to look at it, but mathematically they probably still have a chance. I wouldn't know. I'd have to calculate that. But,
and for any head-to-head players, obviously we're speaking about
NRL
timing and finals.
I'm already,
the NRL
I'm
finals,
already
obviously the Supercoach finals will start shortly.
Yeah, I'm already
2
bugging
weeks
for that. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
mate, the BJ game, look, it's still tight. It's still tight between
still spoil some
4th and 15th. Anyone can make it.
Yeah, well.
But the second game on the Friday night, who do we have, mate? Who we got there? I can't remember. Look. Wow, what a finish. What a finish.
To be fair, though, we shouldn't allow the Dragons back into that one.
No, you shouldn't. But, I thought once they'd actually gotten there and Widdop with that kick from the sideline, 47 seconds, I think it was all Dragons had to last. 47 seconds for the Bunnies to kick off and not fuck it up, and they did.
The Rabbitohs are more Melbourne Storm this year than the Melbourne Storm in a lot of cases. Just their strike ability to be able to essentially fuck a team up in a matter of minutes is that's not bad when you're a supporter of them. I'm sure it's frustrating for Dragon supporters. But
Cody Walker had a bounce back to form for Supercoaches, mate. 108 points. So I think his ownership's gone down a fair bit since Origin. Obviously, after making the Origin 1 team, he got shafted, got sent back out to the Bunnies, but he had a good game. Dad Gagai, he played a Queensland Origin game for once for the Bunnies with a good score there of 89. And Damien Cook.
Don't know what's going on with Cookie. He's not. Well, he's doing enough to get the job done. Like you can't fault him for that. He's doing his job. But I don't know where those big performances that he was having earlier the season have went.
Yeah, look, I think either the teams are reading him a little bit better. Look, the big thing for Cook as well is when he runs off the back of the big platform and that the Burgesses and that put together. I mean, you've had Tom, George, and Sam all out. Yeah. I think they've lost that faster game flow.
To be fair, Sam's the one that counts, and he's back this week.
Oh, look, he does, but I think if you look in the last few years, I mean, that go forward really has started with Tom and George a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple of years where they went quiet, but then they played well last year and they have again this year. I think now that they're sort of missing your Totola, your Liam Knight or Mark Nichols, they just don't have as big an impact. And it's hard because Cookie can't get those quick play the balls. He can't do what he does. So still scoring well and still happy for owners, but yeah, it'd be nice to see him get a bit more of a platform to attack off.
Yeah. And your thoughts on St. George? I know you had some thoughts on St. George last week. No, not a lot. Not a lot of hope for them there.
Look, not a good team at the moment. So I think obviously we saw a guy debut on the wing there in Saab. Played well. I think 198 centimetre winger. So. Big, tall black fella.
Yeah, future's bright for him.
He looked
67 on debut.
He looked good.
They missed out on an opportunity to say a lot of car puns, but that's fine.
Yeah, mate, no one owns a Saab anymore. Saturday footy, and the first game on the Saturday. Look, this was a shocker again from the refs. I think the Warriors have been absolutely destroyed by the refs this year. This is probably the fifth or sixth game, and probably along with Newcastle as well. I think they've been the two teams that have been the unluckiest with it coming to, I guess, contentious refereeing decisions.
It's a shame because I think we even made mention of it earlier this year. Well, definitely you and Brent did during the show. That the quality of the refereeing early in the year was fantastic. Like and the referees, it's like one of those things. If you're not talking about them, they've done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And there was no, in those early few rounds, there was no contentious issue. There was no blatant mistakes. There was no question of whether they're keeping a 10 right for one team but not for the other, with the two ref system and things like that. I don't know what's happening there.
Look, mate, you're 100% right. I remember...
Refs are just like players in regards to they can get fatigued. They can get switched off a little bit as the season gets longer and longer, but I don't know if there's something that needs to be addressed there.
Mate, look, I think that side of things, I'd just like to see, obviously, it's hard to talk about inconsistency in performance with them when it's based physically. Like, you just want them to get these decisions right, you know? Like, I mean, you can say a footy player gets injured or whatever, but, yeah, the referees... there's not too much pressure from them to perform with regards to results from a premiership point of view, you know. There's results there that you want getting the right decisions. But, yeah, look, it's something I hate to sort of even harp on. I mean...
Well, and here's... Because I go back and forth in my opinion because I'm a boomer, so I tend to... not want technology to interfere with things too much. I tend to think getting the bad call here and there is just part of the game, and you need to deal with it. But then sometimes I think, well, they've got 1,000 cameras on the game.
Look, I can
surely the bunker can say something through to the earpiece.
I can agree that mistakes can get made. Look, at the end of the day, in the heat of the battle, And as quick as the game is, if they make a mistake here or there, that's fine. What I can't hack is when that technology is available and they're still making mistakes,
Well, they do it.
So I'm
They
not
do
actually
it.
talking about the
They,
referee, but more so the video referee. And when the
yeah.
video referee has that chance to intervene,
Well, and that's the thing. There's specific instances when the video ref is making a call, like things they can call on and things they can't call on.
oh, of course,
I
yeah,
think they need to just lift those restrictions. If the video ref can see there's a clear forward pass or something like that, they should be able to make a call on that. Their judgment shouldn't be on a specific criteria. It should be, is it a bloody try or not?
yeah,
And like I like the ref's call advantage. Like when there's a grounding that you can't quite see, you go, well, the ref's called it a try, so we go
yep,
with what his initial thoughts are. I think that's probably the only way you can do it. But there's no excuse for it when you're slowing it down and watching
yeah,
it over and over again. What I'm more concerned about is things that are happening at the full speed of the game where they don't have the video ref involved at all. As I said, keeping a consistent 10 is one thing. When you have multiple referees and stuff like that, and sometimes you just think, well, one team's got a 2 meter advantage
Well,
in
no,
defence.
because you got the lead ref,
Yeah, well,
so you don't actually have a different like a different ref on each side because the
I,
lead
I
ref switches.
I can't remember what it was. One of the Raiders games I was watching, and there was something going on there because the Raiders were, as I said, they had a 2 meter disadvantage.
Yeah,
I can't recall what game it was. So great evidence. I saw this one game. I can't remember who it was between,
mm.
but even the commentators made comment on like, no, the ref's doing fine. He's keeping a great 8 meters. Like,
Huh. Yeah, gotcha.
so yeah, as I
Yeah,
said, I don't know. I don't like to complain about the refs too much. It's a bit of a prick job. As I said, if you do your job properly, no one talks about you at all.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I feel bad
But
for them. They
yeah,
always cop the shit.
yeah.
So it's
But this game on the weekend, mate,
a
Kenny
bit of
Mamala. Now, mate, this is a guy
rocks and
I
diamonds,
had him.
Mamalo.
Oh, look, definitely rocks and diamonds, and look, he scored a double on the weekend,
I tell you what,
near enough to ton up 95 points.
he's more diamonds
Um,
than rocks. I'll tell you that much.
well, that's the thing. This season he has been. I've actually owned him the past 2 seasons, because when he first came into first grade, I actually really like this guy, but it's taken him a few seasons just to get active enough where he tries to dominate. Now, scored 2 tries on the weekend, and he does need to score tries to score these big scores, but he's got 14 so far, and it's like David Fusatura in the years gone past as well. Same thing for the Warriors. So yeah, but RTS had another cracking game, 88 points there.
Yeah,
So he went well.
unfortunate news for Isaac Luke. He appealed against his charge. He's got 3 weeks, and
Yeah, he did.
he's off contract, and it looks like he's not getting another contract. So, looks like unless the Warriors can make the finals, he'll have 3 more games in the NRL, and that'll be it for Isaac Luke.
Oh mate, look, I think some teams got to pick him up in the NRL. I think he's too good a player.
Even for
He
the
may be getting older, but
even for the
yeah,
experience for you young blokes in the team. He's a
yeah.
premiership winning player. There's a lot of mentoring and that he can give to young players
Mate,
and young
definitely. Yeah,
halves.
definitely,
I think there's
definitely.
value in him just
And
for that.
for the Eels, Nathan Brown, 87 points. That included a meat pie, so he
And
had a bit of a return to form.
well, he's been going well since he's returned from injury. So it's good to
Yeah,
see that
so
he's hit the ground running. And
yeah, a bit of a pod player for anyone who needed one. And King Gutho.
Well, Gutho's been. You want to talk about rocks and diamonds? That's been Gutho this season. So,
Well, mate, he started off so well, and everyone just thought, oh, this is him. He's back. A couple of years ago, he was one of the gun players before he did his ACL, and but yeah, he sort of had that mid-season slump, unfortunately. And Manu Mao, go the Manu Mao. Look, unfortunately, after the bye round, I got rid of him, and I'm absolutely kicking myself because he has just been absolutely sensational. And considering his second row forward centre wing duel, he is behind John Bateman, the second best centre winger in the game at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, we got Sivo as well, who you'd have to say would be up there for. It is his rookie season, isn't it?
Look, not officially
Not
his rookie season.
Okay.
He played a couple of games last year, so the first time where he's actually played a full season, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
second game on the Saturday, and I can't remember. Oh, this is the Warriors and the Titans.
The
Bit of a
Broncos,
cakewalk
yeah.
here for the Broncos and the Titans.
Very
Bit
predictable.
Yeah. Look, the Titans were pretty bad. Obviously, the change in the coaching structure hasn't changed much up there. Katoni Staggs had another good game for the Broncos. He scored a double. Matty Lodge crossed for the try line to score 90 points. He's been a good pot of mine the last few weeks. And Anthony Milford had a cracking game as well. So it really controlled the show.
Broncos would be happy that Milford's starting to show a little bit more form.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially as they look to be one of those teams scrapping for the 8.
Oh, mate, for sure. And look, Milford, he's just found that little bit more freedom from fullback rather than being 5'8". So we'll see how the dual position goes next year, whether they name him 5'8" fullback. But obviously, as you can see there, just the 5'8" this season. And the final game on the Saturday night was
a cracker between Seagulls and the Storm.
Now, I actually missed this game. I don't know what I was doing, but I saw the final 10 minutes of it, the golden point, and I couldn't believe the amount of field goals that were missed or hit posts or whatever it was. So, absolutely crazy game.
Yeah.
Brendan Smith, another solid score, 84 points with a try again. He is just an absolute weapon, this little kid. So once Cam Smith does choose to retire, could find himself in a lot of Supercoach teams. Manasi Fino for the Eagles, 95 points. Again, we sort of tipped him a little bit earlier in the year for anyone that was looking for a little bit of a pod. But with how sort of Cam Smith and Damien Cook and that have been performing, it's been hard to find room for someone in that hooker position.
Mm-hmm.
And Turbo having a solid game with 81. Tommy Turbo doing a little bit for his owners. It would have been a little bit disappointed with 70 points, but I think he was on about 30 with 20 minutes to go. So the fact he ended up on 70 was pretty good.
And I had him as captain the week before. I just saw up against the Storm. It's like his score's going to be down. So I moved my captaincy to Latrell, which I think got me a couple of extra points. But yeah,
no, didn't.
Oh, didn't he get around? No.
Latrell got like 45 or something, 47.
Yeah, sorry, I'm confusing it. Yeah, it wasn't
let's go to that Sunday game.
It wasn't a good captain move for me. Let's go. Technical difficulty. Second.
You're right, mate.
Sorry,
so the first game we had on the Sunday, I'm pretty sure it was the Roosters and the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I was going to captain Teddy, but I was up against Leanne, who had Teddy captain. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go Teddy versus Latrell to see if I can score some sneaky extra points on Leanne, and it didn't work.
Work. Teddy had a cracking game, 99.
Yeah, it was Teddy that I was getting confused with Latrell.
Gotcha. Yeah, look, Teddy had a solid game. Obviously, a lot of people trying to find that right balance of ownership between Teddy, Turbo, and RTS. And it was the RTS and Teddy sort of combination this week was better off. For the Bulldogs there, Remus Smith, 91 points. Solid week for that centre winger, but hasn't really factored in too much to Supercoaches this year. Will Hopewadi continued his good form. I think he's got a 5-round average of over 80. So playing some good footy there for any Supercoach owners.
I don't look at the percentages, but how's his ownership?
Oh, look, his ownership isn't that high.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He might be a bit of a pod for people out there.
And I've said this before, Hopewadi at centre wing, he's not as probably brilliant at Supercoach as he is when he's at fullback, but he does have those periods in the season where he hits some good numbers, which we've seen so far. So my tip there would be to sort of steer clear. He is 580k, so he's huge money.
Oh, okay.
So I'd probably steer clear.
If you
And
got that
the
much
final game.
the
What's that?
final game, I was going to say, if you got that much money in your account this time of the season, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Final game, the Raiders 30 over the Penrith
Now,
Panthers 18.
I will have to check the footage. Did you say that Bateman last week, he's one of those players, scores consistent, but he never seems to get that ton?
Yeah, I might have said that actually. I can't remember. But
he turned up for the
mate,
Raiders this week. So
look, I watched part of this game. I watched probably the first half, and it was just I didn't really like the game, to be honest. And then I actually turned it on, I think with about 5 minutes and 40 seconds to go. And at about 5 minutes and 35 seconds to go, John Bateman steals the ball off someone and scores a try, turns around and scores a try. So he managed to get a meat pie there. He had a cracking game, Johnny Bateman, but
he's very consistent.
he is. I think actually I was listening to Tommy Sangster and the podcast there today. They were saying that barring injury, he's actually the second best player in Supercoach this year for average.
Really?
So if you take out those 3 or 4 weeks that he's injured, his average or something like that, it might have been the second best second rower or whatever. But
that's not
look,
surprising.
definitely one of the players of the year.
And on the field, the Raiders are just they're that extra half a star a team. In total, when he's around, he just lifts them up.
Yeah, definitely. And look, Josh Papali's another one. You know, he's been having a cracker of a season. He was definitely Queensland's best player, and he's been one of Canberra's best and most consistent players as well. So I think on the back of those two blokes, their go forward, their defence, Canberra's definitely one of those top 4 sides as we've come to expect this season.
And still trouble at the Panthers. So I noticed that Ivan had a go at the refs, it appears, but has seemed to have got away with that with the NRL Commission.
Yeah, look, I think from what I heard, James Tamo, who was the captain, went off went off subbed, and Jimmy Maloney, as is Jimmy Maloney's way, he's just got plenty of a mouth on him. Just kept having a crack at the refs on every decision. And so at halftime, Tamo actually was talking to the refs and Ivan Cleary got involved. And it was basically just around the fact that Jimmy Maloney was opening his mouth too much on the field. So I don't think there was too much in it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Once again,
mate,
poor
games,
refs.
Yeah, exactly. Next week's games, West Tigers up against the Cowboys. New Zealand Warriors up against Canberra should be a good one. New Zealand, obviously, with that plenty to play for the top 8, and back at Mount Smart Stadium will want to perform. Broncos up against Melbourne at Suncorp should be a cracker Friday night. Manly should give Newcastle a touch-up the way they're going, although Newcastle have absolutely decimated their team this week. I think they've dropped about 4 or 5 genuine first graders.
Well, if the game was scored on confidence, you'd have to expect Manly to win by 100.
Yeah.
After getting up over the Storm, and Newcastle, I don't know. They're in a bit of a rut at the moment. So
I think sometimes, but you can see that big game with Manly and Melbourne last week. A lot of the times that intensity of game can really pull up the team the week after. So it might be one for Newcastle to bounce back.
If the Panthers,
the Doggies and Penrith should be a terrible game.
If the Panthers can't bounce back against the Bulldogs, there's something wrong. That being said, the Bulldogs can suddenly turn up and play football. It depends what Bulldogs team wants to show up.
They can. Obviously, they've been one of the worst teams of the year, but there are weeks where you just sort of get glimpses of them and you think, actually, these guys can play football. But, Penrith, I think, should be too good. Our boys clash, mate.
Clash of the Titans.
The Bunnies.
But not the Titans.
So that should be a good game Saturday night, 7:30 game.
Yeah, I'd like to hope that South can continue their winning ways with that one. You'd have to predict they will, but who knows? Might be a good chance for the. Might be a good chance for the Sharks.
South going favourites. Yeah.
Might be a good opportunity for the Sharks to get their mojo back properly after their win against the Cowboys.
I still remember one of my favourite ever games, that Sharknado we played you guys. and it was one of the worst raining fields I've ever seen. And yeah, it was a brilliant game. Obviously the Roosters on Sunday up against the Titans. Plenty of captain options in here with Teddy and Latrell, and lesser likes of Joey Manu, Luke Keary, blokes like that. So yeah,
well, it's a good thing
option there.
The Sydney Cricket Ground's a good place for that because it could be a cricket score.
Yeah, exactly. And round it out with the Dragons and the Eels.
That should be a good game. Dragons under a lot of pressure to perform. Both teams are playing to keep their hopes of playing some finals alive. Should be a good game. I'd have to go with Parramatta on that one. I think they're potentially the better side if they show up to play. Once again, very inconsistent, but that seems to be Parramatta's motto for the past 30 years.
Yeah. And what do we got after that, mate?
Transition to the trades. So because Brent's not here for you guys to have a chat, we'll just go straight into the trade intro.
Change places! Change places!
So no trades for Brent this week, though he did send in Nathan Brown as power pod. So
okay, fair enough.
That's his pick. I don't know how much of a lot of people would have him. You'd think. But
I don't think so. Actually, I think it was just sort of his injury lasted too long in the season.
I know I dropped him early.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I consider. I think I did start with him in the first week or two, and I dropped him. But obviously, years gone past, he is a gun Supercoach player. And once his work rate gets back up and back up to that 80-minute player, you'll find a lot of teams trying to fit him in. Whether they can at this time of the year with the lack of trades or lack of money, we'll just have to wait and see. Trades for me this week. Now, I'm not too sure now. I actually did have Blake Ferguson going out, but I read today that he's out of hospital and back training. So my concern there was it was going to be a few weeks out. But look, these trades, John Bateman.
I still think they're very solid trades. When you sent those through, I went, those are very good trades. If you don't have Bateman, and you can afford to get Jakey Turbo as well, that's a fantastic set of trades.
Yeah, and this would clean me out. These would be my last two trades for the season. So obviously, Tony Staggs have been a little bit of form. His break even will be pretty low, so I could maybe wait another week on him. But Jake Turbo at 517,000, I think he is. I think that's probably bottom, bargain basement dollars. So I thought I'll get him in. And yeah, as I say, Fergo, I could change from Fergo. I could go Nakora or Bronson Jerry and go to Bateman. It's just a matter of that. But I think obviously with the doubt around Ferguson, I think he might be the one to go. And look, Bateman, it's simply a case of I got rid of him when he fractured his eye socket. I wish I never had, but he's hurting me not having him in my team. And that's because everyone else I'm coming up with in head-to-head or overall do have him, and they're getting some big scores that I'm not. So, yeah, that sort of sucks.
You're going to predict that he won't turn up again, or?
Yeah, he won't turn up. Now that I've got him in, he will not score 150.
He will not.
He's a reverse psychology.
He will not get 200.
Yeah, that's right.
So transition to the leagues, but we'll just sell the social media. So at BJ on GameDay, if you can ever find Brent on there. So
actually, he probably does.
Follow that though, because that's what the social media is what we'll be using for the leagues next year to figure out who gets invites to the league. So we make sure we got the proper people. So make sure you follow on Twitter and you follow on Facebook. Or you jump in that Supercoach group, the code there being 701371. Still not too late. Still got a few weeks to go, so if you're not haven't joined definitely jump in.
And we'll start another group as well next season. Obviously, we'll have the leagues and anyone who does miss out, like Macca.
Yeah, well, there'll be two leagues next year with the first ever BJ on Game Day Draft League as well.
Definitely, yeah, exactly right.
So
and. mate, speaking of the draft league, obviously the way we're going to do that is by seeing who finishes where overall in the top 10. And the top 10 in this year's league will make that draft league. So,
top
from
8, because I got a sneaking suspicion one of the hosts of this show is not going to make the top 10.
well, let's go with bugger him. He can miss out. Actually, no, Brent loves his draft. We'll have to have him in there. What's a pod top scored last week? Trent, 1347. So, I'll tell you what, talking about rocks or diamonds with players, he's a bit of rocks or diamonds with regards to he results for Supercoach this year.
He played bloody good when I had him in head-to-head.
Yeah. So, and look, no surprise, the two guys beneath him, Rangers de Janeiro and Charlie White with Bunning Snags. Blakey and Charlie having absolute crackers of seasons. Charlie well entrenched in the top 100, and Rangers actually broke into the top 1,000 back into it. So he's left me behind a little bit.
So there's the total.
Totals. So there you go. So there's the top 3. Bunning Snags. I'm pretty sure he's 89th overall or 86th overall. Rangers de Janeiro, I think he's up to about 800. And I've just slipped outside that top 1,000 out to about 1,600. So a little bit to catch up. But as you can see there's only 120, 130 odd points between me and Rangers. And that gets you inside the top 1,000 pretty easy. Results from last week, head-to-head. Mark the fucking Cowboys had a good week, 1,308, beat the Gangsters Gagas. Leanne finished on 1,300 to beat you, mates. Trent, what's a pod, beat the Big Ginger Dan from NZ. Checkmate, Orlando Mana, beating Ping Ponger with Brent. Hell's Grannies, another good win there from Wayno. So solidified his spot in that top 8, and that actually dropped Stevie Woods down to 12th. So a little bit of a tough loss to swallow that one with Stevie. Over the page, and we had Marty defeat Brendan's Bashers. So probably not as big a scoring boost as a few other people have got, but Marty remains in 3rd there, so he'll be pretty happy.
Yeah, I thought Brendan Bashers was going to crack the ton there for a while.
I don't think I would have won any other game other than playing Brendo this week with regards to the head-to-head matchups. I think all the other winning scores were better than mine, so happy to get that up with 12-16. Blakey, again, he got his... I can't believe he hasn't played this guy. He went undefeated so far through the season. I thought he must have played both these lunatic Muppets, but he played the threat this week. Yep. And the Bunning Snags give PTKB a bit of a hiding. And Dr. K. Ando got over Big Ted, so well done to Kane Anderson. He messaged me earlier in the weekend. He said Big Ted didn't play Sean Johnson or Bronson Jerry, so I'm not too sure what Big Ted was doing because they had some absolute crackers. If he had played them, Big Ted would have had a big score for the week. So
Big Ted
woulda, shoulda, coulda.
But I'm sure he'll be back on his game come finals time. So.
Mate, definitely. Now, what we might do next week, we might actually put up the whole top 20 and we'll go through the ladder in detail because we've got 2 weeks left. So,
we could probably put up the 18. I think we know 19th. And
well,
20th.
We don't have to worry about the other 2. But Rangers is he's taken out the minor premiership, so well done there. Time will tell whether he can actually continue that form through the finals. So. Bunning Snags and Charlie White, obviously the form player of the season. And what do we got after that, mate? We got
fixtures for next week.
The fixtures for next week. You and Gangsters Gagas. We got Trent What's a Pot up against Mark the fucking Cowboys. Munna and Leanne. And we got Stevie Woods, Dan Big Ginger, Brendan Bash. Oh, Ponga. Oh, he'll like this one.
Yeah,
he'll feel like he needs it. I don't think he can make it. I don't think 2 wins is enough. I think Hampton's gone.
I have to look. It's pretty
I think
tight.
he's gone. What's he? 8 and 9. All right, flip the page.
Hold on. Speaking of, he's just sent me a message, so maybe we're still going. All right, let's see if I can get him in the call.
Yeah.
And,
Mark the fucking Cowboys 10 and 7. So he's sitting on 8. So even if Brent wins 2 games, he's not going to get above that. So he's relying on 4 and against.
I'll just send him a message.
There you got Trent 10 and 7 as well. Flip the page, mate. Flip the page to the next games.
Hold on, I'm just texting back to Brent. I'm trying to get him in to explain himself. Sorry, next page.
Why so pathetic at head-to-head. Actually, he will say he always hates head-to-head. So who you got? Where's 6? So Big Ted 10 and 7 in 6th as well. So I'm 9 and 8. Oh, I'm 9 and 8, so I can win 2 in a row. Who have I got? PTKB. It's going to be tight. Oh, what happened there?
I don't know. I just calling Brent.
Oh, it just went to a big screen of my fucking fat head.
Sorry about that, Tom.
Big Ted 6. Who's 5th? Go back a page.
Go back a page. This is great.
Who's 5th? Leanne. No.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Leanne's 5th.
But she's 10 and 7 as well.
Yep.
So 10 and 7.
He's still in it.
Oh, he is, but it's got to come down to for and against. So unless we have a little bit of a closer look at that.
All right. He'll be with us soon. So
he'll be with us soon. We're done.
We're nearly done.
What's the next page?
Wrap up. Sell the social media. The crazy fishos with Alex.
Alex, 1,346. Well done, buddy. That's actually a solid week. 1,346, I think.
Yeah, well, there was no... He's never been mentioned before, but he still topped the group, so...
Nice.
So,
20,944. So he's pretty solid. He'll be sort of near that top 2,000 or 3,000 with that score. But, guys, we're trying to get to Hampton just with a late...
to Hampton. He's just said
late cameo.
He's got to get his headset. So...
He doesn't need his headset. Just tell him to go live.
Yeah.
Just tell him to join the Skype call and we'll be good. But, yeah, guys, give us a follow there. Obviously, at Twitter, at BJ and GameDay, Facebook, BJ and GameDay. Give us a like, give us a subscribe on YouTube. I think we're up to about 180. I think we've cracked 180. So,
oh, really?
200. We're gonna try and gun it for 200 by the end of the season.
What did Brent say he'd do if we got to 200? There was something he said he'd do.
Oh no, he didn't say it. I think I volunteered him for a nudie run or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But we might have to wait for summer because if he does it in Canberra winter, well, fuck.
Oh, it's not going to be flattering in Canberra winter.
But no, it wouldn't be flattering at all. Shit. You need it to be hot. You need the heater on inside or something.
Oh,
but yeah. Well, we got him coming. What's going on?
He's pulled the pin.
He's done.
He's gone if we're nearly
all right,
done.
guys.
Don't worry about it.
Well, that's it. That's it for another week. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the Hampton on. We'll have to get him back next week. The in-laws dinner's got him this week. But, Bogan, thanks for joining in, buddy.
Not a problem.
And we'll catch you all guys next week.